Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Artextric, and today we're going to be talking about perspective. In this video I did something a little bit different. This is basically an hour-long video that I did for Patreon, so you guys can get a full deep dive of what I did with perspective and explaining the fundamentals of perspective, forms, and any other type of shapes. I use some examples here and there to explain how foreshortening works, referring back to our last video that we did last week. That was a lot of fun to do at first, but then again it was also short as well. So I'm trying something a little bit different for the Patreon. So what I'm doing here is giving some explanation on how you guys should focus on your shapes, pretty much your forms, learning about squares, circles, rhombuses, rectangles, and all that type of stuff. This is something you guys should learn. Your ellipses and your coiled method, which I do mention later on in the video or so. But this is something that you guys should constantly practice on a daily. I think like once every 15 minutes a day or so, or if you have more time, ample time, more practice makes better in that case. So I explained the ideas of parallel lines, because parallel lines are very important to have, or something to integrate into your work, especially when it comes to perspective, because perspective is everything about being parallel and pretty much being equal in that sense. Then I mentioned foreshortening here. I did some examples, as I mentioned earlier, that I did something close to keeping your line straight, as I mentioned also with parallel lines, and also keeping your stabilization 100%. Well, not 100 on the limited, but like somewhere around a 20-10 type of thing, because if you have it less, it's going to be very frustrating to keep things pretty smooth with your pen settings with that set. But yeah, so I did this with the square, and I try to give some depth perception type of visuals on what you should look out for and what you should focus on mainly in that sense. I even use Luffy once again in One Piece, as I did in my live stream a while back. That is a perfect example of foreshortening, because given that Luffy is stretchy and he can like throw a punch very big and also far away, gives a lot of foreshortening aspects in that department. So it was hard at first to explain it, but I think as more as I kept on going, it gets more easier. I tried to do a method here with trying to make someone lay down, but I kind of lost sense of what I was doing, so I just went with a pretty much a head. I was gonna go with a lupus head, but I went with more of an anime head, something I can just construct real quick to show sense of foreshortening of the head when it's looking up, when it's looking down, or anything like that, because that is a form of foreshortening to give you a sense of not even just depth, but like just a different perspective on how you can see a head and all that aspect. Then I did a whole, not a whole body, but I did like a dummy body of what you should look for once again with the arm, because I think that's easier to construct, or at least easier to give a sketch type of concept of what I was trying to convey. That I always say that if you're trying to make something look foreshortened, always make sure that the subject is huge, and you must make the thing that's coming at you more bolden, and make the thing that's much more further smaller and thinner. That's how you can make things work in that sense. At first it was kind of me just droning on and on and on and on and on and on about the same thing over and over again, but I couldn't stress enough what you need to focus on in this video, even though it's an hour long compared to this what you're seeing on YouTube or Instagram, depending if I decide to put up there. I also mentioned horizon lines. This is something important with the vanishing point. You'll see that in a second, but like the vanishing point, the horizon line are things that you need to learn how to use to keep your characters either in line, or make them stand a certain pose, or keep them in a certain pose in that sense. So that's something you guys have to keep up with. in that sense. I went with the 1-point perspective on this one. I didn't go with the other perspectives because I think if we just stay in that lane of keep it simple and keep it quite, just one-dimensional in that sense, it'll be easier to build off from that building block. So I use mainly just blocks. With that said, no pun intended, but I use blocks mainly just to keep things much more easier. I did mess up on a few of the blocks on the parallelness of, I think the top parallelness of the square, but I ultimately did what you were supposed to do, keep the lines into the keep the intersecting lines congruent to what you're trying to do and all that great stuff. So that's something that I wanted to present you guys in the video. And it was at first a little bit annoying because I did do what I said not to do, is to keep the some of the lines slant. You always have to keep your lines 100% straight at all times. If you don't, then you're going to have a problem like I did here. I even point out my mistakes in them, so I'm not perfect at doing that, but then again, we're all going to make happy mistakes, but we have to learn from them. So always acknowledge your mistakes and see how you can not make a lot of them. I also used the other method with the flip method to make it easier to use lines. So you can place your characters or your blocks or whatever shape or forms you want to put into your work. I think I kind of messed up somewhere down the line, not realizing it, but I tried my best to keep it in line with the video because I was running out of time. So I was trying my best to get it intact with what I was trying to convey to you guys. I did give some definitions on some of the terms I was using, so you guys could have a general understanding where I was coming from with this. I also tried to do a method here with keeping things equal, but it couldn't work because I was doing something really dumb, but I didn't realize it till the last second. But I choose to end it from that point because I think I pretty much hit the hammer on that. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for being patient. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. And keep it plus ultra. Hopefully you guys will join the video. So, later guys.